Parallel Ninja Worlds Collide, Empire vs Altered Konoha. Episode 31. Zabuza who surrendered, you go, and kill the daimyo. Back to the root base. Shimura Danzo still feels angry. He is already 69 years old this year. He will be 70 soon. When can he become Hokage? If Sarutobi Hiruzen stays in the position of Hokage for a few more years, even if he can become the 5th Hokage of Konoha, he may not be able to do it for a few more years. What's more? Now, Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, that brat Uzumaki Naruto, is firmly controlled by Sarutobi Hiruzen. Others can't approach him casually. A Konoha high-ranking official like him can't approach Naruto casually. If this goes on, Nine-Tails Jinchuriki's power will be firmly controlled by Sarutobi Hiruzen, and he will never be able to defeat Sarutobi Hiruzen in his life. Take the root, wind. Shimura Danzo pondered for a long time and suddenly spoke. Swoosh. Two figures flashed out from the shadows in the corner. Danzo-sama ordered. Yamana Kaze and Aburame Togen both knelt on one knee and said respectfully. You two, go to Wave Country and capture Uzumaki Naruto. Shimura Danzo thought for a moment and added, be quick and get ahead of Jiraiya. If Jiraiya meets Uzumaki Naruto first, then this mission will not be done. Although Jiraiya has a problem with his brain and believes in the stupid predictions of a group of toads. But his strength should not be underestimated. Yes. Yamana Kaze and Aburame Togen both responded in unison. Shimura Danzo nodded secretly. Sure enough, the power in one's own hands is the most reliable. After that, if Uzumaki Naruto is captured, he can also take the opportunity to question Sarutobi Hiruzen and let him, the Hokage, be responsible. And I will be the hero who rescued Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. As for who captured Uzumaki Naruto, Orochimaru can take the blame. The more Danzo thought about it, the more he felt that this operation was fine. Take a small team with you and make sure nothing unexpected happens. Shimura Danzo added, be careful to conceal your identity during the operation and don't expose it. Yamanaka Kaze and Aburame take Gen, plus a root team. Even if they meet Hitaki Kakashi head-on, it should be enough to complete the mission and capture Uzumaki Naruto. As for the future. Shimura Danzo touched his right eye wrapped in a bandage. Perhaps, it's time to use this eye. Wave Country. In Cardo's manor. After sending Sasuke to the Empire, Shiro Kakashi had no choice but to accept it. Naruto, on the other hand, was making a fuss all the time, and no one could talk to him. As a result, he was temporarily locked up in a small dark room. In this regard, Menma and Kuro Kakashi and others were helpless. The reason why Naruto cared so much about Sasuke was largely because of his identity as the reincarnation of Ashura Chakra. The fateful bond between the brothers Indra and Ashura continued on Naruto and Sasuke. To solve this problem, they could only eliminate the influence of Ashura's will in Naruto's chakra. But this kind of thing was not something Menma and Kuro Kakashi could do. So they just locked Naruto up. Anyway, with Naruto's strength, he couldn't make any waves. You said, you want to join us? Kuro Kakashi looked at Momochi Zabuza with interest. Yes. Zabuza Momochi said solemnly, I am willing to become a member of your empire and be used by the empire. Originally, he didn't believe that these people were from the other world. But the Sage Body Fusion Potion before completely shattered his worldview. After that, he had no choice but to believe it. After accepting this fact, Zabuza Momochi quickly judged the situation and understood what choice he should make. That is, pledge allegiance. What else? What else can he do? A 12-year-old boy on the other side has Super Kage level strength. The strength is even above the 5 Kages of the ninja world, and he has the terrifying strength to destroy a large ninja village alone. Such a terrifying empire invaded the ninja world. Does he have to live and die with the ninja world? It's better to surrender early. Join earlier, maybe he can get along better in the future. What's more? After seeing the Sage Body Fusion Potion, Zabuza was envious. He has almost felt the upper limit of his talent. Going further, no matter how hard you practice, it will be difficult to make much progress. And if you can get help from the Imperial technology, the situation will naturally be very different. If Zabuza chooses to join us, what about you? Menma looked at the beautiful Bai on the other side. I will always follow Zabuza-sama. Bai replied softly. Hearing this, Kuro Kakashi and Menma looked at each other. How to deal with these two people? His Majesty did not give them specific requirements for what tasks to complete. He just asked them to influence and change this ninja world according to their own ideas, and to gain more recognition from the world will of this ninja world. Although they don't quite understand what world will is. But try to turn people in this ninja world into their own people, this should be okay, right? His Majesty once said. To engage in politics and relationships, you have to make more friends and fewer enemies. Yes, that's right. Menma and Kuro Kakashi exchanged glances and confirmed each other's thoughts. We accept your joining, that's fine. Kuro Kakashi said with a smile, but if you want to join us, you have to submit a letter of commitment, right? Hearing this, Zabuza was relieved. The letter of commitment doesn't matter. Just let yourself join the group. You tell me what to do, and I'll do it immediately. Momochi Zabuza said firmly. Good, very spirited. Menma nodded and praised. In this case, then good, Zabuza, you two go and kill the daimyo of Wave Country for me. Momochi Zabuza was originally listening carefully, but after hearing this content, his brain reacted and his face gradually turned pale. I go, kill the daimyo? Kill the daimyo? It's better to let himself fight with Hatake Kakashi again. If he dares to kill the daimyo, then the entire ninja world will have no place to stay. The bounty at the underground gold exchange will definitely skyrocket. It will exceed 100 million in a minute. Ninjas all over the world, including the rebels, will be eyeing their heads. If this happens, will there be any way for me to survive? Why, you don't want to? Hey, Kakashi narrowed his eyes and his expression immediately became unfriendly. It seems that your sincerity towards the Empire is still a little lacking. No, I will. Zabuza made up his mind and gritted his teeth. When the entire ninja world is dominated by the Empire in the future, how can there be any name at that time? The brave will die of overeating, and the timid will die of starvation. Do it. Episode 32. Rude attack. Black Kakashi's strength. Yes, your courage is commendable. Menma nodded and praised. Well, as a reward for your courage, I can allow you to disguise your identity during the operation. Zabuza was speechless. So you plan to let us attack the daimyo openly and without any cover? These people from the Otherworld Empire are really bold. But, so. For them, the daimyo is probably a historical term. There is no awe at all. While speaking, Menma frowned slightly, turned his head to look in a certain direction, closed his eyes and sensed, someone is coming this way, and his strength is not weak. In Kagura's mind's eye perception, the masked man who was rushing towards this side quickly in the distance was clearly visible. There are 6 people on the other side, and they are moving towards us. Menma sensed and said, 2 of them should have the strength of elite jonin. Of the remaining 4, 1 is jonin, 1 is special jonin, and the remaining 2 are less than jonin. Menma opened his eyes. He waved his hand in the air. A water mirror appeared out of thin air. These people are wearing masks. Menma mobilized the images in his mind and projected the images he saw through Kagura's heart's eye on the water mirror. This is what these 6 people look like. On the side, Momochi Zabuza and Shiro Kakashi were stunned. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Even though they are knowledgeable, they have never seen such a ninjutsu. And it doesn't even require hand seals? Wait, these 2 people? White Kakashi's face changed slightly. The one with orange hair is Yamanaka Fu, and the one with black hair is Aburame Togen. They are both ninjas of the Root organization, and are subordinates of Shimura Danzo. He also knew about these 2 trusted confidants of Danzo. Both of them were born in the ninja clan. They cooperated with each other very well. If these 2 people joined forces, even he would not be a match at all. What's more, there are 4 other people. These people should be coming for us, right? Black Kakashi touched his chin and said, it should be right. There should be nothing worth targeting in a remote place like the Land of Waves. Have their existence been exposed? No. It's impossible. If the invasion of the Empire is exposed, what should be waiting for them is the Ninja Village coalition led by the 5 Kage. Not these little shrimps. After thinking about it, Black Kakashi looked at White Kakashi. It seems that these people are here because of you. White Kakashi frowned secretly. Shimura Danzo's people suddenly came over. What were they trying to do? Who was the target? Himself, Naruto, or Sasuke? All seemed possible. I'll leave these people to you, Captain Kakashi. Menma looked at Zabuza Momochi and Haku and said with a smile, I'll take them to assassinate the daimyo. They didn't have a clear idea of how to change the ninja world. But let's kill a daimyo first. Maybe there will be some surprises? Zabuza Momochi's eyelids twitched wildly. Sure enough, he couldn't escape. The land of waves. On a forest path. A group of 6 people from the Root organization, wearing black robes and animal masks on their heads, were moving quickly in the dense forest. Yamanaka Fong, who was moving at high speed, suddenly frowned and shouted, Stop. Instantly. The other 5 people stopped at the same time. What's wrong? Aburame came over and asked in a low voice. There's someone in front. Yamanaka Fong said, and couldn't help swallowing his saliva, and felt inexplicably nervous. There was a bad premonition in my heart. It shouldn't be. This mission is somewhat difficult, but it is not impossible to complete. Why do I have an inexplicable feeling of uneasiness? 6 Root organization ninjas were on full alert. In front. The sound of subtle footsteps came slowly from the path in front. A solitary figure walked over without any cover. A silver-white broom head with a mask on his face. A Konoha forehead protector was worn diagonally on his forehead, covering his left eye. A short sword was also carried behind him. Hatake Kakashi? Yamanaka Fong was confused. Did this guy know that his group was coming? Why did he dare to come alone? Yo. Kakashi Kuro's eyes curved slightly, and he smiled, Good morning, everyone. He deliberately used the white Zetsu coat to disguise himself as Kakashi Shiro. Around. In the dense forest. Kakashi Shiro, Obito, Senju Hashirama, and others hid in the dark and watched quietly. What means will he use to deal with those people? Kakashi Shiro couldn't help but ask curiously, use ninjutsu or swordsmanship? In another world, he always carried a short sword on his back. I think he should not have given up the family-inherited Hatake swordsmanship. Just to deal with those guys. Obito said with disdain, a bunch of scum who are not even Kage-level strength. Kakashi just moves his hands, and those guys have no strength to resist. Kakashi Shiro's mouth twitched slightly. Not even Kage-level. No. Is the Kage-level strength so low? Damn it. Am I not also a scum who does not even have Kage-level strength? Are these guys from Otherworld more than Kage-level in strength? Ahead. Yamanaka Fong looked at Hatake Kakashi in front of him for a moment, and waved to the Root team beside him. Immediately. The captain of this team nodded, and then led 3 men to bypass the path in front and go deep into the dense forest next to them. They had discussed countermeasures before coming. If they ran into Hatake Kakashi, Yamanaka Fong and Aburame Takegen would work together to hold him back. Then, their team would go to capture Uzumaki Naruto. Sorry. Kuro Kakashi raised his right hand, raised 2 fingers, and gently drew in the direction of the Root team. This road is blocked. Swish. An invisible chakra/wave was emitted from the 2 fingers of Black Kakashi, slashing directly towards the direction of the Root team. The slash wave with a faint white light was originally only the size of a hand, but it quickly grew larger after being emitted, and in the blink of an eye it reached a width of more than 10 meters. The giant slash wave silently cut into the surrounding dense forest. Swish. The surrounding trees were like half of a clay sculpture, and were cut in half without any obstruction. Episode 33. Black Kakashi swordsmanship, you are not worthy of me drawing my sword. Crash. Large tracts of trees fell. Dust and leaves flew. A moment later. 4 embarrassed Root ninjas rushed out of the dense forest. Each person's face under the mask was filled with fear. What was that move just now? Swordsmanship? Whose swordsmanship can be so terrifying? With a wave of slashing, the trees that were as thick as several people hugging were cut in half like tofu. Not far away. By Kakashi, who was watching the battle in secret, was almost shocked. What did he see? Just 2 fingers, a slash at will, and it was so powerful? Is this the strength of myself in another world? How did he do that? The face of Shira Kakashi on the mask could not hide the shock. It's just 2 fingers, how can you send out that level of chakra slashing wave? You don't even need to use a knife. Just 2 fingers. And it's so easy. What's impossible about this? Obito looked surprised and said, as long as the chakra control ability is strong enough, you can send out slashes directly from your fingers. As for the strength of the slash, this is even easier, as long as your chakra is strong enough. Shira Kakashi was still a little confused. This? Is it really as easy as it sounds? His father used to be a swordsman. Although he has now given up the family's Hatake swordsmanship, he still has some understanding of swordsmanship. Swordsmanship masters need to use swords to fully exert their strength. And it has to be the best sword possible. As for releasing slashing waves without the help of weapons. Kakashi remembered that his father had shown him this kind of thing before. However, that should be just a show of skill. His father should not have mastered it maturely. It is no problem to cut cucumbers, carrots, etc. But if it is cut on wood, it will only leave a faint scratch. If it is a serious battle, his father will never dare to release the slash without a knife. You have seen too little of the world. Obito saw by Kakashi's expression and felt happy in his heart, but on the surface he shook his head calmly and said, alas, I don't know what to say to you. You are so old, you have given up the family swordsmanship, Sharingan is not good, and chakra is even less. This feeling. Cool. It is a rare experience. Coming to this ninja world, whether in strength, knowledge, or even the understanding of power and chakra, he is far beyond Kakashi here. On the other side of the empire. Although he has a strong talent for Sharingan. But in terms of theoretical knowledge, he is completely incomparable to Kakashi and the others. He has always been the last one. Now he can laugh at Kakashi. The white Kakashi next to him did not understand Obito's inner thoughts at all. He was ashamed and did not dare to refute a word. In front. Yamanaka, Fong and others have already noticed something wrong. The information is wrong. Yamanaka Fang's forehead was covered with cold sweat. Hatake Kakashi's swordsmanship is extremely strong. Damn it. Why has this guy never shown his strength in this area? Has he been hiding it all the time? After all, he is the son of Konoha's White Fang. Aburame said in a low voice, turning his head slightly and looking at Yamanaka Fong. There is no way around it. Hatake Kakashi must be dealt with first. Then. The four ninjas of the root team divided into multiple directions and surrounded Black Kakashi in the middle. Even though this guy is strong in swordsmanship, he is one against many after all. Pay attention to cooperation, try not to give him the opportunity to draw his sword. Yamanaka Fong shouted, and he himself retreated repeatedly. Draw your sword? Black Kakashi narrowed his eyes and said, it's a pity that with your strength, you are not worthy of me to draw your sword. As he said. Black Kakashi twisted his body slightly, turned around and aimed at the captain of the root team on the left. The index finger and middle finger of his right hand were put together, and the fingertips were pointed at the captain of the root team. Goodbye. Black Kakashi said with a smile. The root captain's hair stood on end. He didn't understand Black Kakashi's intention at all. He just instinctively wanted to dodge around. However, it was too late. A transparent, invisible sword energy came out from Black Kakashi's fingertips. In the blink of an eye, the invisible sword energy easily pierced through the heart of the root captain. Swish! Blood spurted out from the back of the root captain. A Jonin captain died. Crack! After piercing through the captain, the transparent invisible sword energy hit the tree behind and pierced through the tree again. Such a sword technique. Yamanaka Fong, who was hiding in the dark, looked at this scene and was extremely horrified. Is there really a swordsman or swordsman in the world who can do this? Unheard of. Even Konoha's White Fang, I'm afraid, can't do this? On the forest path. The captain died. The strongest of the remaining three people was only a special Jonin. In front of the strange invisible sword energy of Black Kakashi, they couldn't even parry a move. In the blink of an eye, there were already 4 more bodies on the ground. The bodies were all abnormally intact, with only a piercing wound on the heart. Buzz. Suddenly, a large number of black poisonous insects, as dense as smoke, covered the sky and swallowed Black Kakashi. It was Aburame Togen who took action. At this time, Yamanaka Fong, who was hiding in a tree in the dark, formed a special gesture with his hands and aimed at Black Kakashi. Heart turn technique, start. Buzz. The invisible mental wave was hitting Black Kakashi. This attack was bound to win. He and Togen joined forces, even Konoha's first technician, Hatake Kakashi, would not be a match. However, below, Black Kakashi was hit head-on by the mental shock of the heart-turn technique, but he didn't react at all. Instead, he turned around and smiled at Yamanaka Fong, who was hiding in the tree. Puff. Yamanaka Fong spat out a mouthful of blood, and his breath instantly became extremely weak, and he fell directly from the tree. Damn it. Is Hatake Kakashi a tailed beast? How can there be such a terrifying amount of chakra in his body? Isn't this guy famous for being short of chakra? Episode 34. Reading memories, clues to the White Fang incident. Such a large swarm of insects. Kakashi looked at the poisonous insects that covered the sky and blocked the sun in front of him. He did not show any nervousness, but some excitement on his face. Still standing still. Left hand behind his back. Right arm stretched forward. Index finger and middle finger together. A large amount of invisible sword energy was continuously emitted from the fingertips. In a short time, dozens of transparent invisible sword energy were emitted from the fingertips of Kakashi, but they did not shoot forward, but were arranged in the air in a disorderly manner. Let's experience this move. Kakashi suddenly snapped his hands together, 10,000 swords fired at the same time. Buzz buzz buzz. In the air, dozens of transparent invisible sword energy trembled for a while, and then began to split apart. The thin sword energy that was originally about 1 finger long split into smaller ones. But the number began to expand exponentially. In the blink of an eye, the dozens of finger-sized invisible sword chi turned into a large area of dense and tiny sword chi like silver needles. Go! Black Kakashi pulled his finger in the air, and in an instant, these invisible sword chi shot towards the dark insect swarm that rushed forward at the same time. Buzz! Countless tiny invisible sword chi, accompanied by a piercing buzzing sound, collided with the insect swarm. The tiny sword chi, like silver needles, cut and smashed these small poisonous insects, one by one. Dense black insect powder kept falling from the sky. All the poisonous insects had been cut into powder by countless sword chi, and the original shape of the insects could not be seen at all. Soon, the insect swarm that originally covered the sky and the sun disappeared completely. Instead, the original forest path here was covered by a layer of dense, black insect powder. Not far away, White Kakashi was already dazzled. What kind of move is this? Kakashi was secretly amazed. It can actually split the chakra sword energy into countless small sword energy. Isn't this too demanding for chakra control? Tisk. Obito said with some disdain, this just looks bluffing. Kakashi was a little confused. Isn't that move just now strong? He feels very powerful. These moves that release slashes and sword energy through fingers were actually invented by His Majesty in the past. Obito explained, but His Majesty also said that doing this only looks cool, but it is actually useless in real battles. Playing like this can only have the effect of training chakra controllability. That's true. Senju Hashirama on the side couldn't help but nod. It's mainly because the gap in strength between the two sides is too big that there is a chance to use such moves in battle. Is this so? Kakashi was a little confused. Why do I feel like I don't know anything? Not even as good as Obito. Of course, for many people, being handsome is enough. Obito glanced at Kakashi, feeling happy, and continued, so, there are still many people who spend time learning this finger sword energy, and even the further 10,000 swords. And, as your Majesty said, this at least has the function of training chakra controllability. It's not a loss anyway. Handsome. The corners of Kakashi's mouth twitched slightly. What kind of reason is this? However, he looked forward again at Kakashi, who was standing still. Kakashi nodded secretly in his heart. It seems to be really cool. Suddenly I have the urge to learn. Or, pick up the Hatake swordsmanship and practice it again? In front, Aburame Togen saw that his moves were broken like this, and he didn't hesitate for a moment. Instead, he rushed towards Kuro Kakashi regardless of anything. As long as he could touch this guy. Just touch him once. In that case, he could pass the nanoscale parasites living in his body to him. Although these nanoscale poisonous insects are powerful, they can only survive in biological cells and cannot be released directly. Is this the so-called root organization? Kuro Kakashi saw the other party's posture and also had some understanding of the members of the root organization, but, goodbye. Aburame Togen. In the Empire, he is also a famous genius. However, here, this Aburame Togen has been completely brainwashed and has completely become a tool of Shimura Danzo. Swish. An invisible sword energy shot out from behind Aburame Togen. Blood splattered. Plop. The body fell to the ground. You are the only one left. Kuro Kakashi finally moved his feet at this time and went to Yamanaka Fong, who had fallen from the tree before. You. Yamanaka Fong struggled with his body and raised his head. You are not Hatake Kakashi. He had just been hit hard by the rebound of the heart turn technique. He lost the ability to resist. But through this, he could also guess. The man in front of him was definitely not the Hatake Kakashi of Konoha. Even if Hatake Kakashi might have hidden some strength, it was impossible for him to be as outrageous as the man in front of him. He had been standing in the same place since the beginning and had not moved at all. In this way, he easily defeated the 6 of them. How could Hatake Kakashi be so strong? It's a pity. Kuro Kakashi squatted down and put his hand on Yamanaka Fang's head. I am Hatake Kakashi. It's just from another world. Said. Black Kakashi activated the secret technique of the Yamanaka clan and began to read the memory of Yamanaka Fong. These people are the subordinates of Shimura Danzo, the high-ranking official of Konoha. There must be some valuable information in their minds. You? Yamanaka Fang's eyes widened and his body trembled. You, how can you know the secret technique of our Yamanaka clan? Who are you? He knew this feeling too well. This guy is reading the memory in his mind. Guess? Black Kakashi asked back. In the Empire, even the blood limit is no longer privately owned by the ninja clan. Not to mention this secret technique that is not even a blood limit. It has long been open for study in the Imperial school. Soon, the memory fragments of Yamanaka Fong emerged in Black Kakashi's mind. The original genius of the Yamanaka clan was forcibly taken to the root organization by Shimura Danzo, and was cursed and brainwashed all day long, and finally became a tool of Danzo. Day after day, they carry out various cruel missions. Wait. Kuro Kakashi's eyes sternly said, spreading the news about the failure of Konoha's White Fang mission in the village? Is this what happened before his father committed suicide in this world? Episode 35. White Fang's suicide reason, go ask him. Yamanaka Kaze's body. The expression under the mask of White Kakashi was uncertain. He had learned about the memory read by Black Kakashi. After his father's mission failed, there were people from the organization who spread rumors in the village? And it was an exaggerated version. Deliberately exaggerated. Let everyone who heard it think that Konoha suffered a huge loss, because Konoha's White Fang gave up the mission. Shimura Danzo. White Kakashi gritted his teeth, bloodshot eyes, and said word by word, you deserve to die. This be ********* D. He deliberately stirred up public opinion. Forced his father to death. I don't quite understand. Uchiha Obito scratched his head and said, why did Shimura Danzo make up Kakashi's father like this? Is there any benefit for him? From the purpose and effect, this should be to hit the reputation of Konoha's White Fang. Black Kakashi recalled, I remember that the River Country version of the Ninja World history said that in the Second Ninja World War in this Ninja World, Konoha's White Fang made outstanding contributions and its prestige was even higher than that of Konoha Sannin. And calculate the age. When the White Fang incident happened, 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen was already over 50 years old. Come to think of it, it seems to be true. White Kakashi frowned and recalled, when I was a child, it seemed that many people thought that my father would be the future 4th Hokage, but the result was. As he spoke, White Kakashi couldn't help but clench his fists. Damn, Shimura Danzo. This seems to be similar to your Majesty's story? Obito suddenly felt a sense of déjà vu. On our side, your Majesty also made a lot of contributions in the Second Ninja World War, and later had many conflicts with Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo, and others. Different worlds. Similar stories. So, is it really because of the fight for the position of Hokage? Senju Hashirama was a little depressed. The younger generations actually used such dirty means for the position of Hokage. But Kuro Kakashi touched his chin and said in confusion, why did the father in this world commit suicide? Is it because he couldn't bear the pressure of public opinion? Is my father's mental endurance so fragile? It doesn't seem like it. Or, is my father in this ninja world a little different, and his mental endurance is worse? Did Konoha's White Fang say anything to you before and after he committed suicide? Obito asked Kakashi curiously, or did he leave any suicide note or something? No. Kakashi said in a dull voice, I didn't realize what my father wanted to do. I woke up one morning and found that my father had committed suicide. He was also a little curious now. What kind of mentality did his father have before he died? What kind of inner entanglement did his father have when he committed suicide? Or, you can go and ask him? Kakashi Kuro suggested. Yes, why not just ask him? Obito also agreed. How to ask? Kakashi felt that his thoughts were stuck. Suddenly he thought of something and his face changed. You are not going to use the reanimation jutsu of the second Hokage? This forbidden technique that plays with the souls of the dead. How can it be used on my own father? Why not? Kakashi Kuro asked back, we summoned my father back, not to use him as a tool. Besides, think about it from your father's perspective, do you think he would want to see you now? Kakashi was speechless. What he said seems to make some sense. Imagine that if I have a child, I will die in the future, and then my child summons his soul back from the Pure Land, just to see me and ask some questions. I shouldn't mind. Summoning souls from the Pure Land requires cells of the deceased and other genetic materials. Kakashi Kuro saw that Kakashi's expression relaxed, and continued, you can go home and look for it, and see if you can extract dandruff from your father's belongings when he was alive. Okay. Kakashi hesitated for a moment and nodded. He really wanted to see his father again and ask those questions. Are you going back to Konoha? Senju Hashirama suddenly showed some interest. It just so happens that after I came here, I have always wanted to go to the Land of Fire and Konoha. If you want to go back, maybe I can go with you. Who are you? Kakashi asked curiously. Of the three people I met at the beginning, this guy is the most mysterious. He has always hidden his identity and never introduced himself. I don't know who he is. Well, introduce yourself. Senju Hashirama operated the watch a few times and took off the white zetsu coat that had been covering his body for camouflage. My name is Senju Hashirama, and I used to be the first Hokage of Konoha. Soon. The appearance of Hashirama himself appeared. Long black straight hair. The face has cracks unique to the impure world body. You. Kakashi was completely confused. You are the first Hokage? That's all in the past. Senju Hashirama waved his hand and said, now I am just an ordinary citizen of the empire. Well, maybe not now, after all, I am just a dead man. Dead man? Kakashi was at a loss for a moment, looking at the strange cracks on Senju Hashirama's face. He immediately reacted, you are not in the state of impure world reincarnation now, right? Senju Hashirama nodded. Now. Kakashi was completely speechless. He just thought that these people from Otherworld really had no taboos, and even dared to use forbidden ninjutsu like impure world reincarnation casually. Result. Now there is a person from impure world reincarnation standing in front of him. And he is the first Hokage of Konoha. And the first Hokage himself doesn't seem to mind this impure world form. However. See this. White Kakashi felt that the rejection in his heart was reduced a lot. The first Hokage had no problem with impure world reincarnation. He should not mind if he summoned his father himself? In that case, let's separate for a while. Black Kakashi thought for a while and said, first generation seniors, and Obito, the two of them will follow you back to Konoha. As for Menma and I, we need to stay here for the time being. Just now. He also saw in Yamanaka Fang's memory that Jiraiya was heading to the Land of Waves, because of some things about the Child of Prophecy. After that, he and Menma still need to meet this Konoha Sannin. Episode 36. Menma is curious, what kind of person is Jiraiya? In Kato's manner. Menma had just brought back Zabuza and Haku. At this moment, Zabuza and Haku were still in a state of ups and downs. Especially Zabuza. His mind was even a little blank. There was only one thought left in his mind. There was no way back. Before. Namake's Menma took him and Haku, disguised themselves, and broke into the daimyo's mansion in Wave Country. Without any cover-up. In a poor place like Wave Country, the daimyo's mansion didn't have many strong guards. A group of 3 people easily knocked down all the guards and broke in. For those guards, they just knocked them down, but didn't kill anyone. But the daimyo's family. Under Namake's Menma's order, Zabuza and Haku killed them all. Completely wiped out the daimyo's family. When walking out of the daimyo's mansion, Zabuza Momochi had only one thought in his mind: there was no way he could ever turn back in his life. Destroyed the entire daimyo. If he didn't stick close to the people of the Otherworld Empire, he would definitely die without a burial place. Do you think you're that serious? Menma looked at Zabuza's shameful appearance and said with disdain, aren't you still known as the Devil Zabuza in this ninja world? How come you are so scared after killing a few ordinary people? Can you be more capable? Zabuza Momochi rolled his eyes directly. Killing people in the past ninja missions and destroying the entire daimyo, is this the same thing? It doesn't seem to be much different. They are all human beings. There is no difference in the feel of the chopping. Daimyo. Zabuza Momochi suddenly came to his senses and said in a trance, it's just an ordinary person. When facing death, you will curse and shout at first, but then you will also be afraid and beg for mercy. If you die, you die. Suddenly, Zabuza felt as if something was broken in his heart. The daimyo are just a group of ordinary people. Namake's Menma sneered, moreover, they are a group of ordinary people who deserve to be killed. Wave Country is such a poor hellhole. The daimyo's life is still extravagant. The people are so poor that they have no food to eat, and the daimyo is still enjoying all kinds of luxury. If he doesn't deserve to die, who should die? It should have been a long time ago. Okay, you two are now officially in the group. Black Kakashi said with a smile, work hard for the Empire, maybe in a short time, you may also be able to experience the Sage Body Fusion Potion. Zabuza's heart was pounding. He saw the effect of the Sage Body Fusion Potion with his own eyes. Even if it is only a first-level fusion potion, the effect is extremely obvious. If I can get one for myself. It seems that there is hope to reach the threshold of Kage-level strength. For a while, Zabuza suddenly felt itchy. He wanted to visit a few more daimyo's mansions and work for the Empire. What the hell is the dignity of the daimyo? Does it smell like Sage Body Fusion Potion? Captain Kakashi. Menma had already learned about the division of troops, and asked curiously, you said before that Jiraiya from Konoha Sannin was coming. What kind of person is he? He never knew in the past. There seems to be some hidden secrets in these aspects. In the ninja world on the other side of the Empire, Jiraiya was once the teacher of his father Namake's Minato. Menma often had a very respectful attitude when his father talked about this senior Jiraiya. But Your Majesty seemed to have issued a special order prohibiting Jiraiya from contacting him. I don't know why. Although the ban was later relaxed, Menma and Jiraiya have never had much contact. Menma once guessed that it might be related to the fact that he was the reincarnation of Ashura's chakra, but there was no way to be sure. My father was unwilling to say more about this. Senior Jiraiya. Kakashi recalled, I don't know much about it. I only know that His Majesty seems to have never liked him very much, and I don't know why. Menma nodded slowly. A person that His Majesty doesn't like. But Jiraiya is still alive and well in the Empire. From this point of view, it should not be because of Jiraiya's bad character, but because of other reasons. So curious. Menma felt itchy in his heart. What kind of person would make His Majesty dislike him but not kill him? Jiraiya, from Konoha Sannin. Momochi Zabuza thought for a while and said the information in his memory. He is a well-known old Kage-level strongman in the ninja world. He seems to have been traveling around the ninja world in recent years. He has written many works and signed a summoning contract with Mount Mayaboku, one of the 3 holy places in the ninja world. That's all he knew. Wait. Menma's expression suddenly changed. You just said, Mount Mayaboku? Zabuza nodded in confusion. What happened to Mount Mayaboku? Kuro Kakashi and Menma looked at each other. They both thought of something. In our ninja world, Menma explained, the 3 holy places in the ninja world were forcibly opened up by His Majesty. Among them, Mount Mayaboku is the only holy place that was completely destroyed and flattened by His Majesty. It seems that His Majesty's opinion of Jiraiya should have something to do with Mount Mayaboku. By the bridge of Wave Country, Jiraiya first found out where Dasna lived, and then came here. Finally, he found Black Kakashi and Menma who were waiting for his arrival. Of course. Both of them are now disguised with white Zetsu coats. On the outside, they look like white Kakashi and Naruto. "Hey, Kakashi, long time no see." Jiraiya came over with a big smile and greeted, and took out a book in his hand. "This is the latest published Intimacy Paradise. I guess you must have been looking forward to it for a long time." Black Kakashi looked at the orange cover, with a picture of a woman in revealing clothes on the cover. And the title of the book? Intimacy Paradise. This thing doesn't look like a serious book, right? Does this ninja world like this kind of thing? On the side, Namake's Menma's mouth twitched slightly. Is this the teacher of his father? Why does he feel like an old pervert? First impression, very bad. Episode 37. People understand each other? What a naive idea. Kakashi. Jiraiya was shocked. Aren't you surprised? This shouldn't be the case. Hasn't Kakashi always been a loyal reader of the Intimate Paradise series? The book in his hand was just published a few days ago. He took into consideration that Kakashi was on a mission in the Land of Waves, and in a poor place like the Land of Waves, he might not be able to buy the latest version of Intimate Paradise. So he brought a copy for Kakashi. The result? Kakashi's reaction was so calm. "Ah, no." Black Kakashi scratched his head and said, Sorry, I was just too surprised just now." "Thank you very much, Master Jiraiya. I have been looking forward to this book for a long time." Trying to act like what he should be like in this ninja world. Black Kakashi took the Intimate Paradise with excitement. Then, he couldn't wait to open it and take a look. Seeing Black Kakashi like this, Jiraiya couldn't help but nodded with satisfaction. As expected. This is the right reaction. He just thought that Kakashi, his most loyal reader and fan, had already quit. "Teacher Kakashi, what book is this?" Menma, who was standing by, felt a little itchy and approached Kakashi, wanting to take a look. The teacher of his father in two worlds. Although it looks like it is about the emperor's uncle, maybe it is very well written and has great literary value. When Jiraiya saw that Naruto also wanted to read it, his face changed immediately and he waved his hand to drive him away. "Go away, this is not something that children should read. Don't you understand the 3 taboos of ninjas?" Menma was almost speechless. Look at this attitude. This book is probably just a book about the emperor's uncle. No. You know that this kind of book is not suitable for children? Then why did you write it? You even have the nerve to mention the 3 taboos of ninjas. Did you abide by them yourself? Ahem. Kuro Kakashi simply flipped through a few pages, and felt his face getting a little hot, and quickly put the book in his hand away. Naruto, it's too early for you to read this kind of book, you should wait until you are an adult. However, Menma is only 12 years old. It's not appropriate to read this kind of thing. But it's okay at my age. Ahem, Kakashi, I came here this time because I want to ask you for something. Jiraiya got straight to the point, and said with a slightly embarrassed expression, "This matter is very important, and it is related to the future of the entire ninja world." Said. Jiraiya pulled Kuro Kakashi to a corner. Avoiding Menma, the two whispered to each other. Simply talked about the prophecy of the great toad sage and the matter of the child of prophecy. "So, sorry, Kakashi." Jiraiya looked a little embarrassed and said, "I don't want to steal your disciple, but the matter of the child of prophecy is really important. According to the prophecy of the great toad sage, he will become the teacher of the child of prophecy and guide the child of prophecy to grow. So, even if it is a bit embarrassing now, he must do it." Opposite. Black Kakashi remained calm on the surface. But in his heart, it was as if 10,000 alpacas were roaring past. The child of prophecy. What a mess. It also determines the stability or destruction of the future of the ninja world? Ridiculous. There is no child of prophecy in their ninja world, but isn't the empire developing well now? Lord Jiraiya, this kind of thing can't be decided by just the two of us. Black Kakashi's brain was working fast, and he said, "This is about Naruto. We have to ask Naruto's own opinion, right? Besides, considering Naruto's identity, we also need to ask Lord Hokage's opinion." Hearing this, Jiraiya was relieved immediately. It seems that there is no problem with Kakashi. As long as Kakashi doesn't refuse, other problems will be easy to deal with. Don't worry about the old man, I will communicate with him myself. Jiraiya waved his hand and said, "As for Naruto, how do you think we should talk to Naruto?" Just tell the truth. Black Kakashi said directly, Naruto is very smart. Moreover, if Naruto is really the child of prophecy, then he and you, Master Jiraiya, must have a master-disciple relationship. I think it would be better to talk about it earlier. Jiraiya hesitated a little. Is Naruto smart? He never doubted the intelligence of his disciple, Namake's Minato. But Naruto, Minato's child. He had also investigated Naruto's grades in the ninja school before. The grades in various subjects can be said to be very balanced. They are all stable last. Jiraiya feels that Naruto, this child, may not have inherited Minato's smart brain. Naruto is just too playful and a bit too noisy. Kuro Kakashi waved his hand and said, as long as Naruto is willing to learn and think, he will grow up quickly. Well, after all, he is the child of prophecy who can decide the future of the ninja world. How can his brain be bad? What you said makes some sense. Jiraiya nodded slowly. The child of prophecy should at least have a smart brain, right? Then, after Jiraiya and Kuro Kakashi finished talking, they walked towards Menma. After telling what Jiraiya just said, this is the situation, Naruto. Kuro Kakashi extended his hand to Jiraiya and introduced him. Jiraiya-sama is known as the Sannin of Konoha. He is a super powerful person comparable to the Hokage-sama, and he was once the teacher of the fourth Hokage. If you can become Jiraiya-sama's disciple, maybe you can really become the child of prophecy who determines the future fate of the ninja world in the future. Menma, imitating Naruto's appearance, said with some surprise. Can I decide the future of the ninja world? As long as you follow me and practice hard, there will definitely be a chance in the future. Jiraiya said with a big laugh. But, Senior Jiraiya. Menma looked a little confused. I don't seem to understand the child of prophecy you just mentioned. Can you explain it in more detail? Well, how about this? Kuro Kakashi suggested, it just so happens that the bridge to Wave Country has been built, and we will return to Konoha later. Now, let's walk around in Wave Country and talk while walking. Jiraiya and Menma both had no objection. The three of them walked in the small wave country. This land of waves is really poor. Jiraiya looked at the deserted and unpopular shops on both sides of the street and sighed, even in the entire ninja world, this should be considered the poorest place. Then, Jiraiya suddenly turned his head and looked at Menma and said. But I believe that when the child of prophecy grows up, the future of mutual understanding between people, prosperity, peace, and stability that I have always longed for will come sooner or later. Mutual understanding between people? Menma looked a little surprised. Is this your ideal, Senior Jiraiya? Somewhat unbelievable. Is there anyone who has such a naive idea? Episode 38. Jiraiya sweating profusely, chaos in the land of waves. That's right. Jiraiya said with an extremely firm look and tone, although there are still many contradictions in the ninja world now, I believe that the era when everyone can understand each other will eventually come. This is his ideal. For this, he is willing to die. Seeing Jiraiya like this, Menma and Kuro Kakashi looked at each other. They both guessed each other's thoughts. Mutual understanding between people, even mutual understanding between everyone. This kind of future will never come. This is not in line with the laws of human nature. Even in the Empire, after His Majesty used his supreme power to forcibly guide the development of the ninja world to another better track in all aspects, even after 20 years of the Empire era. In the Empire, there are still some people who privately miss the past ninja village era. However, most people have a mocking attitude towards these people. Just a group of old and young abandoned by the times. They dare to say a few words at most. If they really stood in front of His Majesty, they would probably not dare to fart. Jiraiya-senpai. Menma thought for a moment and asked, how do you think we can achieve mutual understanding between people? It's normal to have ideals. But more importantly, we need to have an action plan. Otherwise, what's the difference from pure dreaming? This. Jiraiya looked a little embarrassed. This may be a problem that only the child of prophecy can solve. If I can answer this question, then why do we need the child of prophecy? Is that so? Menma nodded slightly and changed the question. Then, Jiraiya-senpai, you said that mutual understanding between people is your dream. I want to know, how do you work hard to realize your dream? Jiraiya suddenly became speechless. At this moment, he realized what the Black Kakashi said just now. Naruto, this kid, is really smart. The questions he asked are too sharp. So sharp that he was embarrassed. You shouldn't have done nothing, right? Menma tilted his head and said. No way, no way. Having that kind of childish dream every day. The words spoken are extremely beautiful. But nothing is done. Is this teacher of his father in two worlds just a jerk who only shouts slogans? This is of course not. Jiraiya's forehead was sweating, and his breathing was a little rapid. He said, I have always been teaching my disciples seriously. For example, the 3 disciples I accepted in the Land of Rain, and the 4th Hokage, he is also my disciple. Yes. I didn't do nothing. I am doing something serious. 4th Hokage? Menma frowned slightly, but didn't the 4th Hokage die in battle for 12 years? In the past 12 years, have you, Senior Jiraiya, taught new disciples? Jiraiya was already sweating profusely. No, Naruto, can you not ask such sharp questions? Now. Jiraiya is completely sure that this is definitely Minato's child. With a somewhat innocent expression, he asked all kinds of sharp questions that made him a little embarrassed. Just like Minato back then. But Minato usually asks questions about training. It's not shameful for him not to know some things, and he can still learn them. But the questions Menma just asked, Jiraiya really doesn't know how to answer. What have he done in the past 12 years? Tracking Orochimaru? This is one. What about the others? Traveling around the ninja world, collecting materials, and writing books? This is indeed in line with the prophecy of the great Toad Sage. But these are the only things he has done in the past 12 years. Jiraiya feels that he can't say it. Ahem, Menma. Black Kakashi came forward to help Jiraiya out and said, Master Jiraiya is one of the most powerful people in Konoha. In the past few years, Master Jiraiya should have been performing various dangerous and confidential tasks outside the village. Ah, yes. Jiraiya wiped the sweat from his head and gave a grateful look to Black Kakashi. Thanks to Kakashi. Otherwise, he would have died here today. Performing confidential tasks. Phew, fortunately, Naruto should not ask too much after throwing out this reason. However, Jiraiya still felt a little guilty. If it was the past war period, he would naturally not feel guilty. It can even be said that he still performed the most S-level tasks in Konoha. However, after the Third Ninja World War, he had not performed many missions at all. Secret missions, so that's what happened. Menma nodded. However, he had already come to a conclusion in his heart. Jiraiya, one of the Sannin of Konoha, was his father's former teacher. In the past 10 years, it can be said that he had not done anything serious. He talked about the beautiful dream of mutual understanding between people, but he didn't know how to do it at all. It was even more impossible to do anything specific. Menma's eyes turned slightly, looking at the quarrel in the shop in front. Something seems to have happened there, let's go and take a look. In front. At the door of a shabby shop. A wandering samurai, holding a large bag of bread, with his pockets full of money, was cursing. Get out, old woman, if you keep talking nonsense, I will kill you immediately. At the door of the shop. An old lady in ragged clothes, hunched over, looked at the wandering samurai timidly. It's not enough that you robbed the food, why do you also take the money? She was starving, so she could understand that he robbed some food. But he even robbed all the little money in her store. How should she live? What's wrong with taking some money from you? The wandering samurai cursed, I'm generous for not killing you directly. The former boss Kato didn't dare to go back. Then he could only rob. Hey! Jiraiya was furious and strode over, scolding, you even robbed an old lady's money, and you dare to say such a thing? None of your shit. The wandering samurai was about to start swearing, but when he saw the Black Kakashi and Menma following behind, his face turned green and he knelt down with a plop. Master Ninja, I was wrong, I don't dare anymore, I will give it back immediately. Damn it. How come we ran into these evil stars again? Are these people still in the Land of Waves? I guess. Menma looked at Jiraiya's puzzled look and explained, he should be one of the men of Cardo who was scared away by us on the bridge of the Land of Waves some time ago. After the group of people scattered, they might not dare to go back to look for Cardo. As a result, he has become a robber now. You are a big man with hands and feet, what can't you do? Jiraiya scolded angrily, you actually became a robber, directly, and robbed an old lady? You are right, Ninja-sama, I will never dare to do it again. The wandering warrior kowtowed and admitted his mistake. Okay, return the things to the owner quickly. Jiraiya waved his hand and said. Yes, yes, yes. The wandering warrior took out the money in his pocket as if he had been pardoned, and planned to run away immediately after returning it. Wait. Menma looked at the wandering samurai who was about to leave and called out to him. Episode 39. Dimensionality Reduction Strike. Jiraiya is confused by the dragon-slaying technique. Jiraiya-senpai. Menma frowned and said, just let him go like this? What are you going to do? Jiraiya's face changed slightly. Naruto, this kid. Wouldn't he want to kill this guy? Possibly. This guy was let go by Naruto and his friends last time. But now he's a robber again. Naruto is probably ready to kill him. Naruto, you still have to give him a chance. Jiraiya couldn't help but persuade him, this guy didn't do anything too outrageous, he doesn't deserve death. On the side. The wandering samurai also nodded repeatedly. When did I say I was going to kill him? Menma frowned and said, I was thinking, Jiraiya-senpai, do you think that if we just let him go, he will really repent? I can. The wandering samurai panicked Kaido, I will seriously repent this time and be a good person in the future. Shut up. Menma glared and scolded. This kind of nonsense, fooling fools? If you really want to repent, why didn't you do it earlier? Naruto, his sincerity may not be enough, but you shouldn't just kill him directly. Jiraiya said helplessly. He also knew that it would be difficult for this guy to really repent just because of a few words of scolding. But what can he do? Just a wandering samurai. Can he still keep this guy with him? There are so many Ronin samurai like this in the whole ninja world. If he manages each one, can he manage them all? Is the son of prophecy still being found? Last time, we let this group of Kato's men go and let them escape. Menma shook his head and said seriously, at that time, I didn't mean to do this at all. But later, I found that I might as well let them stay under Kato's men. Jiraiya couldn't understand, what does this mean? Kato, he had also heard of this name. It seems to be a wealthy businessman who is rich, but unkind. He has many Ronin samurai under his command, doing all kinds of evil. If they were still under Kaido, then Kaido could at least restrain them. Menma said seriously, and, under Kaido, they have a stable source of income, so they won't become pure bandits. But they will do evil under Kaido. Jiraiya was almost speechless. Naruto, what a mess of reasoning. He actually thought it would be better for these people to stay under Kaido. I don't know who taught him. Let me put it this way, Senior Jiraiya. Menma was silent for a while, looked at Jiraiya, and said, why do you think there are so many wandering samurai in the Wave Country? Isn't this normal? Jiraiya was puzzled, the entire ninja world, basically all countries are like this? Ronin samurai, rebel ninja, bandits. There are everywhere. Although he was helpless, he was no longer surprised by these things. Then I'll give you an explanation. Senior Jiraiya, please listen to it, okay? Menma recalled the courses he had learned in school and said, when the gap between the rich and the poor is too large, the lower class is extremely poor, and some people can't even maintain their basic livelihoods, while the upper class has accumulated a lot of wealth. In this case, people with certain military power at the bottom will be bribed by the upper class using their wealth to become thugs, guards, and the like. Although this cannot fundamentally solve the problem, it can actually ease class contradictions and stabilize social order to a certain extent. At the same time, other people who are not bribed by the upper class may become robbers, bandits, and other more destructive to social order. In some special periods, the upper class order is destroyed, and the thugs they bribed may become the latter form, causing the social order to become more chaotic for a period of time. That is the current situation in the country of waves. Because of the existence of these people, the order established by Kaido and the daimyo of the country of waves collapsed. But the Ronin warriors bribed by these people were not completely eliminated, resulting in the current chaos in the land of waves. Menma had learned all these things in school. But he had only learned them. When he let go of Kaido's men before, Menma had never thought about what this would cause. It was only when he found that the land of waves was becoming more and more chaotic that Menma recalled the things he had learned before. Jiraiya tried hard to listen to what Menma said. He just felt that he was stunned. Because he didn't understand. What did you just say? What upper and lower classes, bribery, class, and other things? Naruto. Jiraiya stuttered, "Who taught you what you just said?" He felt like he had seen a ghost. Jiraiya asked himself, he had traveled in the ninja world for so many years, and in terms of his knowledge and understanding of the ninja world, it was difficult for anyone in the entire ninja world to be more in-depth than him. But he couldn't understand what Naruto, a 12-year-old boy, said. "I learned it from books and in school." Menma was silent for a moment and answered. Jiraiya was a little confused. "Ninja school, do you still teach these things now?" "Jiraiya-senpai, I'll ask you another question." Menma thought for a while and said, "Well, the last question." You ask." Jiraiya wiped the sweat from his forehead and said with a guilty conscience. "Jiraiya-senpai, if I want to make the country of waves better, what should I do?" Menma stared at Jiraiya's face and asked seriously, "If I want to transform this country, so that the people of this country, including those who live seriously and people like Ronin samurai, can live a stable life, what should I do?" Jiraiya was embarrassed again. How could he know about this kind of thing? Transforming a country. Although the country of waves is only a small country, it is not an easy task. "Well, let's change to a simple question." Menma thought for a moment and said, "If I want to change this country and the daimyo is blocking me, what should I do?" "Daimyo?" Jiraiya's heart skipped a beat and he subconsciously said, "If it's the daimyo, you can try to discuss with him and persuade him, right? After all, making wave country better should also be what the daimyo wants, right?" On the other side. Menma was silent for a long time. "I finally understand." Menma said with great emotion, "Now I finally understand why His Majesty doesn't like people like you." Jiraiya's ears moved. "What, Your Majesty, did he just hear? Who is this talking about?" Episode 40. Obito, Kakashi, you have to think more. Meanwhile. On the other side. In the Land of Fire. After leaving the Land of Waves, Shiro Kakashi, Senju Hashirama, and Uchiha Obito did not rush to Konoha. Senju Hashirama chose to join the advance team because he wanted to see what the ninja world would be like without the Empire. And Uchiha Obito also came from Otherworld and was very interested in this ninja world. So, the three of them simply chose to walk back to Konoha slowly. Along the way, they stopped to take a look at the towns and villages of the Land of Fire. Why is this happening? Senju Hashirama looked a little confused. The three of them had just left a prosperous town. I can only say, the Land of Fire is indeed the most prosperous country in the ninja world. Although it is far inferior to the Empire. But compared to the Sengoku period, the current Land of Fire is much stronger. At the beginning, Senju Hashirama was somewhat relieved to see the current appearance of the Land of Fire. Even if it is not as good as His Majesty's achievements in creating the Empire. But I ended Sengoku and created an era of one country and one village, which made the lives of ordinary people better. However, then, what he saw next directly shattered Hashirama's beautiful filter of this era. Why are there so many casinos in the fire country of this ninja world? Uchiha Obito couldn't help but complain. It can be said that there are casinos in almost any town with a little scale. And the prosperous town they just passed. There are casinos everywhere. All kinds of gambling tricks, complete categories. Isn't it like this in your empire? Kakashi temporarily took his eyes off the book in his hand and asked Obito and the others with some curiosity. It is worth mentioning. What he is looking at now is not his favorite intimate paradise. Instead, it was the ideological and political teaching materials in the Imperial school that Obito brought from Otherworld. Of course it can't be like this. Obito looked at Kakashi with a puzzled look on his face. What's the benefit of gambling? Even under the strict control and crackdown of the Empire, many people have been separated from their wives and children and lost their fortunes because of gambling. After the establishment of the Empire, Your Majesty cracked down on the casinos of all sizes in the ninja world. Finally, considering that it is better to block than to release, a few areas were planned sporadically to allow the opening of casinos. Even so, every year there are countless people who go there to gamble and then lose everything. Casinos and gambling should have existed for a long time in history. Kakashi said in a dull voice, if you want to ban it, it will probably be difficult. Casinos are not only in the Land of Fire. Other countries, such as the Land of Thunder, the Land of Hot Springs, etc., also have casinos everywhere for the rich to have fun. But Senju Hashirama said with a bad face, even if we don't crack down on casinos, at least we shouldn't allow the selling of children to exist, right? Before They saw such a scene in a casino in the town just now. The gambler who was so obsessed with gambling that he even lost his family. Konoha has been established for 60 years. Such a thing still exists. Kakashi was not used to such things, but he could do nothing about it. After all, these are things that the daimyo should manage, and have nothing to do with our ninja villages and ninjas. Even the shadow of a village has no right to intervene in such things. I can't figure this out. Obito was very puzzled. The daimyo in your ninja world are obviously just a group of ordinary people, and they are a group of ordinary people with no talent or ability, almost a group of trash. Why do you ninjas want to worship this group of trash on your heads? He couldn't figure it out at all. In the Empire. It's not that no one has a higher status in the Empire. Like His Majesty and His Majesty's concubines, there is no need to say more. Others, there are also descendants of the 6 god tiers. They all have a higher status in the Empire. In addition, other people with excellent cultivation talents, outstanding scientific research talents, or other talents, can also obtain a more superior status than ordinary citizens of the Empire. But there is no one like the daimyo. Ordinary people who are nothing can actually surpass ninjas who have powerful military power. This has always been like this. Kakashi was a little confused, and suddenly turned to look at Senju Hashirama, and said, "The first Hokage founded Konoha, but didn't he overthrow the daimyo?" Senju Hashirama was speechless for a moment. It has always been like this, is it right? Obito subconsciously threw out a sentence he had learned in school. Is it wrong? Kakashi was a little troubled, and said, "What is wrong specifically?" What a headache. Is it possible that the existence of the daimyo is actually a mistake? This, you won't understand even if I tell you. Obito suddenly hesitated, waved his hand, pointed to the ideological and political textbooks in Kakashi's hand, and said, "These things, you should read the books first." I can only tell you, Kakashi, you have to think more. Kakashi looked suspicious. He was a little skeptical. Is it possible that Obito can't explain these things clearly? I am the Obito of the ninja world. When I was in the ninja school, I was terrible at theoretical courses. Will the Obito of another ninja world be the same? Huh? Senju Hashirama suddenly frowned. Something seems to have happened in front. He seemed to hear some shouts and killing sounds. The three looked at each other. Without hesitation, they increased their speed and rushed over quickly. Ahead. An ordinary village. At this moment, the originally peaceful atmosphere has been broken. Curses, shouts, wailing, and begging for mercy are intertwined. It's bandits. Shiro Kakashi saw the situation at a glance. It should be bandits from somewhere nearby who are robbing the village again. A group of bandits are robbing from house to house. Money, valuable objects, and women with decent looks. Take them all away. Anyone who dares to resist will be hacked to death. Is this the fire country of this era? Senju Hashirama's face was extremely gloomy, and the majestic chakra aura in his body gradually became uncontrollable. In the richest and most stable country in the entire ninja world, such a thing can happen. It's ridiculous. Go ahead, kill these beasts. Uchiha Obito's eyes flashed with scarlet light. This world is really barbaric. Such a thing can still happen. It's ridiculous. The white Kakashi on the side also moved his hands and feet briefly, and followed Obito and Hashirama, who rushed forward in anger.